Thank you so much for joining us. We're so pleased this morning to have a very special program. I'd like to welcome everyone who's taken the time to join us. Oh, I'm just having, there we go. This is Finding Peace in an Unpeaceful World. And I'm looking very forward to this. This is a reprise of the session we had with Arisika and Evalie a few months ago. And it was memorable and special, and it actually is still with me. So I'm very pleased we have you joining us again today. My name is Indra Mangal, and I work in the education department at the Asian Art Museum. And I have a few little quick housekeeping points that I'd like to bring up before I turn it over to our guests, instructors. The Asian Art Museum deeply acknowledges that we are located on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants and indigenous stewards of the San Francisco Peninsula. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. And the Asian Art Museum has several efforts underway to do more than making the verbal acknowledgements. We're looking at some physical manifestations so that our visitors can recognize that the land that we're all inhabiting as they come into the museum. So stay tuned for that. And we've got a program coming up in April with the Ohlone Cafe chefs. So I hope you'll join us for that. And the recording of this program will be on our YouTube site, I think later this week. So please be on the lookout for that. In terms of closed captioning and questions, at the bottom of your screen, there's a chat box and it says Q&A. We're asking if you could put your questions in the Q&A box. And also at the bottom of your screen, you will also see, and it might be under more, I don't know where it shows up for you. My screen is a little different. There's closed captioning that you can turn on that will help if you want some assistance in that way. So please, I hope, and you can message me if you're having trouble. I can try to help problem solve virtually. So now I would like to introduce our wonderful instructors for the day, our guides for the day. Arisika Razak is Professor Emerita and the former chair of Women's Spirituality Program at the California Institute of Integral Studies. She is a core teacher at East Bay Meditation Center in Oakland, California, and a graduate of Spirit Rock's dedicated practitioner program. Her teachings incorporate diverse spiritual traditions, multicultural feminisms, and contemporary diversity theory. She has facilitated spiritual healing and empowerment workshops for over 30 years and presents at numerous conferences on the subjects of womanism, diversity, women's health and healing, and embodied spiritual traditions. The first time I met Arisika was in a workshop of, I think it was on womanism, maybe even, and it was very powerful and memorable. So it's lovely to have you. And Evalie Delfina Salas Posh is a devoted chanter, certified sound therapist, and pranic healer, music teacher, sacred song composer, and ritualist. Evalie's music ministry brings her to assisted living and rehab centers, hospitals, retirement homes, and prisons. And I think you all adore the chanting today. It's really, I feel so blessed to have both of you with us. So I turn it over to you. Thank you.
Good morning, kin folks. Greeting in whatever time of the day and whatever season of the year you are experiencing. Just to say, for a quick overview, we're going to have a period of chanting led by the incomparable, the wonderful Evalie Posh. I'm so delighted to be teaching with you again, Evalie. And we're going to go from that straight into a meditation, and then a Dharma talk. We'll have some time for questions and answers. We'll have chanting again, and we'll end with the dedication of merit. And I do want to say that we welcome everyone, and we want this session to be as fully accessible as possible. The Buddha taught that meditation could be done sitting, standing, lying down, or walking. And since our meditation will be about 20 plus minutes, please take the posture that works for you. Sitting, standing, lying down, or even gently walking, lifting the feet and placing. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Asian Art Museum. Thank you, Indra. And I'm going to turn it over to Evalie for our first chant of the day, of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Arisika, my dear friend. Thank you, Indra and Asian Art Museum. And good morning to all. I'm going to start with the Brahmaviharas chant, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha. Metta, loving kindness, Karuna, compassion, Mudita, joy, Upekkha, peace or equanimity. And sing along when you pick up the words. Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha, loving kindness, compassion, joy and peace. Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha, loving kindness, compassion, joy and peace. One more time. Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha, loving kindness, compassion, joy and peace.
Thank you so much, Evalie.
Welcome.
I invited Evalie to sing this particular chant because later on we'll be talking about the four Brahmaviharas or Divine Abodes. And I want to begin, I know we're moving into stationary silent practice, but I just want you to put your hands over your heart, if that's accessible to you, or feel into the heart, and just let this melody wash over the heart, spirit, body, mind. Metta, loving kindness, karuna, compassion, mudita, sympathetic joy, and upekkha, peace, balance, equanimity. And just take a breath in, or alternatively, just feel the hands over the heart, the sits bones resting in the cushion, the eyes gently closed or focused on the ground in a soft gaze. There are many postures in which we enter our practice. And pick one of these sense anchors. It could be the breath moving in and out of the lungs, filling the belly or heart. Let your hands now drop down. It could be that your sense anchor is the weight of the hands on the thighs, on the belly. It could be your sense anchor is the weight of the feet on the floor, the body on the body, the weight of gravity. Another sense anchor is the rise and fall of ambient sound. And sound, it can be this hum of your computer, perhaps cars going by, your housemates or relatives talking in another room, just feeling without attachment the rise and fall of sound, or the soft gaze. And so come to a posture in which your body can rest in relative moment-to-moment comfort. I know that some of us are practicing with chronic pain or chronic disability. So just let's take the posture and focus on our sense anchor, the breath, the body, the soft gaze, our ambient sound. Heavily, I invite you to ring the bell. As we practice, thoughts arise, feelings arise, distractions arise. Let them float up to the surface of the mind like fish jumping out of the water. You see them, they arise, and then, as much as possible, let them fall away. Bring your attention back to the weight of the body. Bring your attention back to the movement of the breath. Bring your attention back to the soft gaze or the rise and fall of ambient sound. No judgment. This is only a practice. Bring your attention back to your sense anchor. And if you are practicing with chronic pain, you might want to focus on that pain, noticing the quality of tingling, aching, sharpness, fatigue. Bring your attention back to your sense anchor. If bodily discomfort has arisen, make any needed adjustment to the body. If you are in chronic discomfort or pain, lay loving awareness in that part of the body, or bring your own hand, physical or disembodied, to touch the places of pain or discomfort and feel the energy arising there. And let that be the object of your meditation. Sitting, burning, digging. Just let the body be your key. Don't leave the body. As we come toward the end of the meditation session, I invite you to say in your heart or aloud the words of metta given to us by the Buddha, translated in many, many different ways. I will use the words as I first learned them, but if you have other words, use them. May I be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May I be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May I be strong and healthy in mind and body. And if that's not possible, may I still experience moments of ease and well-being. May I be strong and healthy in mind and body. And if that's not possible, may I still experience moments of ease, well-being, and grace. May I take care of myself with ease and joy. May I take care of myself with ease and joy. And may I be happy, truly, truly happy. May I be happy, truly, truly happy. And as we move into closure, the sound of the bell, let it ring through your body. And let's just make a soft hum together. Just holding what may have arisen in your hearts, in your mind, and in the body. I titled my talk today, Finding Peace in an Unpeaceful World, because we don't have to turn on our devices, read the newspaper, whether it's digital or not, to know that we're in a time of great challenge. The times are not peaceful. There's violence and war and a pandemic of racial and ethnic and religious hatred. Climate change is upon us. And in every area that I know of, things are changing and not necessarily for the better. And we know that our kin are dying. 20 years ago, when I woke up, I could hear the sounds of many, many birds in the morning. Now in my neighborhood, it's mostly crows. There's been a great loss of songbird. And to bring it even closer to home, as we acknowledge the theft and the attempted genocide committed on the Ohlone people, let us also remember those displaced from San Francisco, the Asian Americans, the Japanese Americans specifically, who lost property, home, temple during internment. Some of them never, ever received any compensation or were able to come back and take up their lives as they had held them before. Let us remember the African Americans displaced from the Fillmore as the city gentrified and displaced again. And now the percentage of African Americans in San Francisco has gone down and down and down. And many people in the mission, also many Latinx people, have lost their home or even their lives as the neighborhood has gentrified. How do we find peace in a world that is so unpeaceful? How can we live and be happy when we know that so many people are faced with a multitude of injustices? Some of us may have come to Buddhism because we thought that we could safely retreat from the world, and that if we sit on our cushion and meditate, that the waves of our thought will go out in the world. And this may sound silly, but when I came to California in 1969, that's what I thought meditation was about. That meditators in some far-off lands like Tibet were praying for the well-being of the world. And as I've come to understand the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh and other socially engaged Buddhists, I've understood that we are invited to step off our cushion and ease the suffering of the world. But we cannot do that well if we're full of hatred and self-judgment. We cannot forgive others their mistakes. We cannot open to the diversity of strategies that need to be taken to end climate change, to end this global pandemic, to end the suffering of all sentient life, and to end racialized and religious hatred and violence. In metta, you are invited first to feel loving kindness toward the self, that we learn to forgive our mistakes. And every one of us has had some judgment about our mistakes and our flaws. So we come to the work that we do. If it's activist work, if it's work in our family, easing sometimes the quarrel and faction that arise, we bring with us the quality of loving kindness, that we can see in the person that in this moment we're angry at, we can see that they too are deserving of love. Now, I'm not speaking necessarily of those who have taken acts of violence against us. Yes, we may be called to forgive, but we forgive in our own time when it is right for us. One of my friends who's a Yoruba priestess says, we need to put some of our ancestors and family members in quarantine because they're not ready to deal with us. But I'm talking about understanding that even those who have harmed us in themselves may have been harmed. And that every child who emerges from the body of their birth mother, their birth father, their birth parent, is deserving of love and support. And that if they receive the love, the awareness, and the support in the family and in the world, no child goes on to do horrendous acts of violence unless they are compelled by state, by roving bands of people committed to oppression. So that we begin by acknowledging with metta that all beings, ourselves included, are worthy of loving kindness. Compassion, another one of the divine abodes, or Brahmavihara, teaches us that we have compassion for the suffering of the world, the suffering of children in our families, the suffering of those waiting at the border, the sufferings of those in war-torn countries, the suffering of the animals in the face of loss of habitat and drought. And taking refuge in our meditation, taking refuge in beginning to experience, even for a moment, what it is to be at peace. We are able to open the door of the heart and witness the suffering of others. And that suffering engages us in feelings of compassion and a desire to extend loving kindness to others. We also, in the Brahmaviharas, are told that we take joy, not only in the joy that comes our way, but in the joys of others. That when someone we don't know has won the Nobel Prize, we take joy in that. We didn't win it, but someone else did. If I take joy in the fact that my Japanese American relatives, at least some of them, those still alive, received grants from the US government. African American people were held in bondage for hundreds of years. We have not yet received reparations, but I take joy in the fact that reparations came to the Japanese, that some of my Jewish relatives received reparations, that in South Africa, in the Truth and Reconciliation Council, that some sense of restorative justice emerged. We take refuge in the joy and the goodness that comes to others because it adds to the goodness of the world. And even if we don't see what we need in our lifetime, we rejoice in the goodness that has come. And finally, equanimity. We take as a matter of fact that we will be bombarded with stories and experiences that have harmed us. We recognize that trauma arises in our lives and the lives of those we love. And we are called moment by moment, step by step, to walk the path of equanimity, to know that as our joy arises, so too to our sorrow, that there is life and birth, and there is death and loss. And the Buddha taught us to find a middle way. He spoke about the middle way between austerity and indulgence of the senses. But he also is talking about a middle way in which we find equanimity or balance in our difficulty. The qualities I've mentioned are known as the Brahmaviharas, and they are the qualities that are said to help one to become enlightened. Maybe not in this lifetime, but in the next. And they are the qualities which, if we practice meeting, we can find moments of peace, moments of true joy. I was a midwife for many years, and I got to experience over and over the joy of being able to receive directly from the body of the birth mother, the baby. And in my time, it was birth mothers. I know we have birth parents, and I honor them. But speaking of my experience, I got to receive, after a night or day of pain and endurance and resilience, this child from the body of its mother, and to place that child on the chest of the mother, and to witness her joy, whether she was poor, whether her relationship was good, whether her husband could be with her or not, whether she even had a partner, a husband, whether her lesbian co-parent could be with her or not, whether her family was in another country. I got to witness those moments of joy. And in those moments, my heart was touched. And I want to ask, how in these periods that are so full of the difficult, how are you finding your joy? How are you finding your peace? How are you standing in equanimity? And just for a moment, take a breath. And just feel into the heart, the body, the mind, the part of you that experiences. We're moving to question and answers. But I also want to invite sharing, because some of you have medicine or others. And in this period of sharing, we will not be recording questions or answers. So for us again, thank you. So Evalie, are you there?
Sorry, nature called.
Thank you. We are human beings.
And let me start my video. Yes. Thank you. All right. So this is a melody written by a friend of mine that was just la 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 la, and I put words. The words are peace in 7 or 8 languages. It starts off with Tibetan, Shiwa, Japanese, Hewa, Irish Gaelic, Shoken, Filipino, Kapayapaan, Arabic, Salam, Hebrew, Shalom, Sanskrit, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. It's a couplet, chant, round, 2 parts, and you can join in anytime. Shiva, Hewa, Shoken, Kapayapaan, Salam. Shalom. Shiwa hewa shoken. Kapayapaan. Salam. Shalom. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Everybody, Om Shanti. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Shiva, Shiva Hewa Shoken. Kapayapaan. Salam. Shalom. Shiva Hewa Shoken. Kapayapaan. Salam. Shalom. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Shiva, Shiva. Shiva, Shiva. Shiva, Shiva.
Let's dedicate the merit as this energy resonates through our field to all those in need of peace, peace of the heart, peace in the body, peace in the world, peace in the family. May all beings everywhere be free of suffering. May all beings know peace. May all beings be liberated and free. We'll make the sound of and we'll ring the bell. Thank you, relative. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Indra, any announcements from the museum?
No, that was beautiful. In closing, I'd just like to quote a couple of people wrote in here, and I think I could definitely not say it better. One person, Tisha, said, "This has been incredibly moving. Thank you for your highest presence and attention without attachment, with love and gratitude." That is beautiful. And then anonymous person said, "A chorus of birds just sang." I mean, what more? And Sheila said, "Thank you for the session, insightful and calming piece." So I think they've said it all. Thank you. And thanks to everyone who joined us today. And thank you, Arisika and Emily. I'm a deep bow of gratitude to you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you to
lovely,
all.
wonderful day. Oops, sorry, go ahead.
No. I want to thank all the ancestors of all realms, two-legged, four-legged, winged ones, creepy crawlies, those who swim and dance and run, all the people that lived on this land. Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Go out there and be safe, everyone, and we will see you in the new year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.